What's going on, guys? Stefan here with you, S&E's Garage. Today we're going to go ahead and pull the blown engine here out of this 2016 Mazda CX-5. So this is not intended to be a how-to video because I have not done enough of these for me to confidently explain to you bolt by bolt and nut by nut how to pull this engine out. I'm literally winging it. But we've already gotten started here. We did go ahead and pull the subframe. We just pulled the control arms out of the subframe and left them connected to the knuckle here in the with the ball joints, basically. Just folded them out of the way. We did have to loosen the axle nuts, so they are out. We're gonna have to pull the axles out of the knuckle because the knuckle is gonna stay in the car. We did go ahead and pull the two lower transfer case bolts here that hold the transfer case in. They're gonna be kind of a pain in the neck to get to with the engine out of the car because it's gonna be sitting on our table here. And we do have to pull the transfer case before we pull the engine. We have to pull the exhaust manifold though before we pull the transfer case, so it's kind of like a puzzle here. But we've gotten that far. Now I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to pull the two transmission bell housing bolts that are at the bottom, and then we're going to go top side, disconnect everything, and this thing will be ready to come out. And here's the moment of truth. We've got everything disconnected, air conditioning's disconnected, all the coolant lines, shifter cable, all the ground straps that I can see. We got the table under there with the motor mounts disconnected, so the weight of the engine is on the table. I'm gonna bump the lift up, take a walk around the car, you know, the front of the car, make sure nothing's dragging, and then we'll lift it up the rest of the way. Motor mount just doesn't want to let go. I wonder if I check this a little bit. Okay. There's the ticket. I don't see anything hanging. And that's what I call a successful engine removal. Having a lift is a complete game changer because I don't have to be up there struggling, pulling hoods off, trying to disconnect the engine from the transmission and then shoehorn it out. I could just drop the whole thing out the bottom, and now I have full access to walk completely around this thing and do whatever I need. So starting tonight, I'm done for the day. Tonight we're gonna go ahead and pull this catalytic converter off. That way we can go ahead and get the transfer case out. We're gonna pull the engine harness and the intake, and then we're gonna pull this whole cylinder head and clean it up and prep it to go on that short block over there. Okay, so we got the engine out of the Mazda. We did just have to go ahead. We threw the subframe back up and moved it over. So it's sitting over here with obviously no engines. A couple of SR20s would pull a premium on Race Wars because we got no engine here. Anyhow, I'm going to throw you on a time lapse. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to break this down. We're going to pull the intake manifold. We're going to pull the harness. We're going to pull the exhaust manifold. We're going to pull all the accessories. And then we're going to go ahead and pull the timing cover. And we're going to get ready to pull the head off of this engine. I figure it's going to be easiest for me to pull the head off of this engine while the engine is still bolted to the trans. That way I have some of the weight there working in my favor. And then we're going to go ahead and take this head, throw it on that short block. Here in the vehicle, we have a bunch of gifts here from Rock Auto. They're not gifts, I paid for them. I'm just calling them gifts. But we have a new water pump. I went with a new water pump because the water pump that is on the short block right now did get oil in it from when the oil and coolant mixed, and oil attacks rubber. I didn't want the new water pump, or the water pump that's on it, to start leaking on the new owner. So we went ahead and ordered that. We ordered 2 belts, one's for the water pump, one's for the alternator and the compressor. We have some intake manifold gaskets here. We have brand new Molle head bolts. What I thought was interesting is it says Mazda and Ford on them. I had thought that this engine was no longer made with Ford, but if I can find where it says it, it says Ford Mazda right on it. And then underneath that, we do have a nice new intake, or head gasket. Now, the valve cover gasket that is on the engine that we took apart is literally brand new. So that valve cover gasket, it's back here in the back of the trunk. We're not going to do anything with that. I'm not going to pull the fuel rail off of this head, so I didn't have to get fuel injectors or O-rings or anything like that. We're just going to take this head, clean it up, drop it right on. So let's, again, time lapse, start taking it apart.
Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we gonna light it up tonight. We gonna light it up tonight. We gonna light it up just like the sunrise. We gonna light it up now. Just like a spark that's breaking out. Can't make a stop, can't turn back now. We know that there's no room for doubt. No, we can't turn back now. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll.
Alright guys, so what you just saw us do in the time lapse is basically get this thing broken down to the long block. You'll see we have all the accessories off it. Tensioner, alternator, air conditioning, compressor. We're going to leave the water pump on because what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that head, that valve cover back on this block, and then I have a core charge that I can get back for this from back when I did the Mazda 6. So we're going to reassemble this engine, take it off this trans, and then throw it outside and let them come pick it up, and we'll get 50 bucks from it. So what we're going to do now, we're going to go ahead, we're going to pull the crank pulley, we're going to pull the front timing cover, we're going to pull all the timing components. Now what I am doing is I'm going to reuse all of the oil soaked components from that cylinder head, because if you look in here, you can see very fine particles of metal from when the bearing failed. So we do just have to go ahead and pull these cam caps. We're going to make sure everything's okay there. Let's get you back on the time lapse. Crank pulley, front cover, timing components. We're going to set that all aside in our junk pile. This is going to be our junk pile over here. And then we're just going to throw this engine back together and we'll get it off of this trans. And then we'll go ahead and start building this engine.
Down the night.
So what we're gonna do, we're gonna pull this head off and we're gonna bring it in our parts washer over there and we're gonna clean it really, really well. And then once we get this engine together, we're gonna put some cheap Walmart oil in it with a cheap filter. We're gonna run it for like a half hour. We're gonna dump it, change the filter, and fill it up with some good oil. That way, if there for some reason is any fine particles left behind, we go ahead and flush them out before we even put this engine under load. So these cams, these phasers are going to be reused, but I'm gonna use the chains and the guides and everything else from that engine. So let's go back on a time lapse, get these cam caps out, get the cams out, and then we can pull the head. So what we want to inspect here is the journal of the cams here. You'll see there is some light scoring, but I can't feel any of this with my fingernail. Some scoring here is normal. The bearing is basically built in to the head. So as long as when we take this off, these things aren't all chewed up, they will be fine. You'll see there's a little bit of fine bearing material there from the bottom end when it failed. So we are, like I said, we're just gonna have to go ahead and put this thing in the parts washer and clean it up really well. You can see some of it here. So we are gonna clean this up. We're gonna make sure we get into all these oil galleys here. And at that point, we should have all the metal out of it. And like I said, we're gonna change the oil at least once when we're done building this thing. So let's go ahead. I'm gonna zip these bolts off here with an impact gun. The nice thing about the way this head is designed is I don't have to take this intake cam off. So like I said earlier, vacuum pump, all this stuff is staying on. So we're just gonna go ahead, we'll zip these off with a gun. You're gonna go in a crisscross pattern. You're gonna start on the outside, work your way in, and then we'll be able to get this head off.
When the lights go down, I've seen hell in you, but you don't care. Don't care, no. You just rather watch me fall from a quarter mile. I can see you at the call. Think about it, ring won't tell you what I saw. When you break it off, you'll see who had it all. You had it
Alright, so we went ahead and prepped the surface or the deck of this block. We did that last video. I just went ahead, wiped everything down. We moved the cylinders down to about halfway down in their stroke. And then we put just a little bit of motor oil in there and ran the engine around, spin it around, get some oil in those rings, oil on the walls. We don't want a dry start here because we did just clean this whole thing with brake clean. We popped our water pump off and cleaned all the rest of the oil coolant residue that was in the surface of the block. Now over here we have our head. We are super happy with how this came out. Cleaned up really nice. Again, we pressure tested this engine before we pulled it. We know it was holding coolant pressure, so I'm not even gonna bother checking this block, this head with a straight edge. This engine did not have any head gasket issues, so I don't foresee that being an issue. So what we're gonna go ahead and do now is we're going to get our head gasket out of the car. We're gonna slap it on that the deck of the block, and then we're gonna bring the head over, slide our head bolts in, and we're gonna go ahead and torque them down, and then we're gonna call it a night. Tomorrow night we'll come out here, we'll set up the timing chain, we'll get this thing all timed up, and then we can go ahead and begin prepping the front cover and really start making some headway here. Alright guys, we're gonna go ahead and start torquing our cylinder head down here. We're going to do this in 4 steps. So the first step is going to be 150 inch-pounds. Now I probably already got that with my impact gun. I just used my little 3/8 gun and just got these all bottomed out. So there's a good chance that we're probably already going to be there. But Okay, there's number 1. There's number 2. 3. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. 10. Okay, step 2 is going to be between 32 and 34 foot-pounds. So let's go ahead, we'll go right in the middle at 33 foot-pounds. I'm good with that. Okay, and we're going to do the same thing. One. 2. 3. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. 10. Okay, step 3, we're going to go 90 degrees. And then step 4 is going to be another 90 degrees. Head's torqued down. I'm done for the night. Tomorrow we'll come out, we'll reinstall our cam, and go ahead and start timing it. So last we left off, we said we were going to get this thing timed up and start putting it together. I just figured I'd show you where we're at. We did a little bit of work off camera here. So you'll see we have our timing marks lined up here. You see that mark lined up there. This mark lined up there, and then we did our prep work here, and we prepped the whole surface of this this for the front cover basically. And over here we have the front cover all cleaned up. Got to do a little bit more work here, just make it perfect, but this is kind of where we're at. So now we're taking the bell housing bolts and the torque converter bolts off of the old engine. We're gonna get it out of the way. We do need to reuse this oil pan, so at some point I'm gonna have to flip this engine over and go ahead and pull that oil pan off so that we can put it on that engine, and then we can meet the engine and the transmission and take it from there. And here we have the complete powertrain packaged up, bolted together, everything's together. It's ready to drop in the car. We went ahead, we bolted the engine to the transmission. We did the torque converter bolts. We put on all of our accessories, new water pump, new serpentine belt, new water pump belt, new intake gaskets, new exhaust gaskets. Everything here is ready to go. So stay tuned. We're going to be dropping this thing into the car, or dropping the car onto it, I should say. And hopefully we'll hear it running. And we got the car set up on the lift. Subframe is back out of it. Again, we did have to put the subframe up to move it over here. So back on the lift, subframe's out. We're basically eyeballing this up now. So we just kind of want to look at where the tail shaft is here of the transfer case, and where the exhaust is, and where the radiator is. And we're kind of just eyeballing this, and then we're going to go ahead and drop the car back onto the powertrain and put the motor mount bolts in. So it's probably going to take a little bit of trial and error. I'm not going to do this live. It's going to be a pain in the butt if I do. Let's go ahead and let's do a time lapse, let's get the engine and transmission in the car.
Forget about the world we're living in. Fall into oblivion, 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 oblivion. Oh, going
And what you're gonna see here is the engine is in the car. From sitting, what I'm thinking happened here is the torque converter emptied into the trans. And when I put this thing in the car, I lost a ton of trans fluid. Now, luckily for us, I do have some Mazda type FZ trans fluid. So we are gonna go ahead, we'll dump about a half a quart in it. Dipstick's right here. We'll start it, run it, and check it when we get to that point, and we'll add a little bit more. I actually have 2 quarts of it, or a quart and a half. So we're good there. We'll top it off with exactly what it takes. I'm just gonna take my time under here, wipe everything down from all that trans fluid. If anything's leaking under here, I wanna know it. So I need to go ahead and basically clean up any trace of any leaks under here, or any oil from the trans emptying itself out of the axle seals. So now we're at a point where we can go ahead and put the subframe up. So like I said, we got the axles in, everything's good there. Drive shaft is in, the exhaust is connected. We put a new exhaust gasket on there, so that is good. And we're ready, like I said, subframe, and then we can do everything topside.
I'm going in. Fall asleep when you're counting stars. Get it together. Your mind can't sleep when you let it serve. Now you wanna see me fall from a quarter mile. I can see you at the call. Think about it, ring won't tell you what I saw. When you break it up, you'll see who had it all.
So as you see here, we got a ton of work done off camera on this thing. I didn't feel I needed to bore you with a time lapse. We dropped the engine back in, recharged the air conditioning, filled it up with oil and coolant. We filled up the oil filter before we put it on. That way we didn't have a dry start. It runs amazingly. Now we did have a hiccup. We were getting a P0015, which is an exhaust camshaft over retarded as far as the valve timing is concerned. So I took my scan tool and I graphed desired and actual cam timing, and I was watching it, and it was responding, but it was responding kind of what I'll call lazily. The graph didn't match perfectly, and there were times where it would get hung up around 15 degrees where it was commanding 0. So what I had to do is I swapped my oil control valve and my exhaust cam sensor from the engine that we removed from the car. Luckily, I still have it, or the head from the engine that I had another one laying around. So we fixed that problem. It runs amazingly. So let's fire it up and let's let you hear it for a second. So this is definitely what I would call a Frankenstein engine. It's got a Mazda 6 bottom end, a CX-5 top end. Bottom end's got around 120 on it, top end around 170. But everything checked out great. We were able to make one good engine out of the 2 junk engines that we had for this. And whoever buys this car is going to be getting a great value. It's going to have a basically rebuilt engine, brand new head gasket, all new gaskets. And as you can hear and see, it runs absolutely fantastically. So if this kind of content or if these kind of videos interest you, definitely give us a like, share, and subscribe. We do definitely plan on doing a lot more of these, and we hope you guys join us and follow along the way. So again, like, share, subscribe, stay tuned for future projects, and we'll see you guys next time.